Alrighty, welcome to my garage talk session. And what am I going to waffle on about today? Well, today I'm going to waffle on about my Abbott Ashby 200mm industrial bench grinder. One thing you need to note before I start is I'm not sponsored by anybody. None of the links will be affiliate. It's just my opinion after using these for like 40 years off and on in industry. And so let us begin. So back in the day, when I was looking to start making a few knives in my garage workshop here, I needed to gear up. And this is one of the first things I put in here. I put it in here. Actually, the wife bought it, so thank you very much for that. And yeah, I've used it every day pretty much since. It's really good machine. And yeah, so I've since added a 2x72 to my arsenal. But of course, I made a couple of them now. And so to make that, I needed to sand stuff and do stuff like that. So if you're looking at getting one, I'm just going to pass on a bit of my experience. Not that that means much, but here I go. Normally what you can do is you can buy the bench grinder. You'll have a grinding stone on each end. I opted for this version here because it's got the sanding belt. This here, you can buy these separately and poke them on, and I'll put links in the description for where I got the stuff anyway. So I think that's a multi-tool grinders or whatever, and it gets bolted on. I've put it on. No, I didn't put it on. This was already on it. That's how I bought it. On that end was a grinding stone. I took it off and put the spindle on. You can get a spindle. You can put a spindle on both ends if you wanted to, but I just chose to have one side for polishing. Bear in mind, of course, that the threads are left-handed and right-handed. So if you're going to buy one of those, just make sure you get the right thread or it won't work. They're not overly expensive, but it's just a mistake you could make that you don't want to make. I'm pretty sure they're made in Australia. I could be wrong on that. No doubt I'll get corrected in the comments if I am, but that's what I believe, so I'm going to go with it. I've used a few Australian-made tools in industry, and they usually hold up to a pretty good thrashing, and they last a long time, which is why, well, one of the decisions that made me go with this rather than an alternative one. So yeah, so that's what we have. So what do I use it for? Well, everything really. I use it for a lot of little stuff, which not really worth putting on the 2x72, things like this. So I'll take these and just deburr them and knock the edges off, round them over. There is a flat platen, and you can put this on top here. Works all right. It's not great, but it's good enough. So for doing little jobs like that, the sanding is pretty awesome. You've got a 3-inch contact wheel, so some of these angles, when you're getting in on this, it's just easier to get it into here because you've already got that. And away you go. That works really well for that type of thing. This is a 50 by 915mm, or if you live in the States, you'd be talking about a 2-inch by, I think it's a 36. Yeah, so that's about it really on that part. I've added a light, which you can probably see, just so I can see. So that's pretty good. And yeah, you can get a variety of belts for here, sanding belts similar to your 2x72. I usually run a 60. I've got a couple up here. Old, they last a long time. These have had a hiding and thrashed, but they're still going. I've never had a belt on this break. I have had them break on a 2x72. I'm not sure what make these are. Sunlight, probably from China, but yeah, they last. They're great. Never had a problem with them. So yeah, on the spindle end, you get a variety of, I put flap wheels on them like this. That's a 120. I've got 120s, 180s, and 60s. Get rid of the tape off it. So that's there. You can notice I do try and keep them separate for mild steel and stainless steel so I don't get impregnation. Don't do that very well, but I do try. And you can get surface finishing discs. Not sure what this one is. It's just got it. They're not particularly cheap, those flap wheels, but they do last a long, long time. They get grooved out, as you can see on that one there, if you can see that. Gets grooved out, but that's good for doing rounded corners. And you can dress them up, but I don't bother. So there we go. So I bring my finishes down on the 2x72, and then I'll finish them up on here. I use it quite a bit for finishing them up. I don't know if you can see that finish there. That's just straight off the 2x72. I'll do a limited amount of hand sanding. I usually down to 240, and then I'll bring them over to here and I'll bring them down on my belt thing there. Just find it easier, and it just speeds the process up a lot for me. One thing you do have to bear in mind and be careful about is your bevel grinds need to be flat. This is not going to flatten them out due to the fact that it's a small contact area. Put that back on there, don't get it backwards. It's a small contact area on the blade. So if you've got any humps and hollows in there, it will actually just exaggerate them. It'll bounce over the top. If you've got any big scratches that you're trying to chase out, all you're going to do is put hollows in it. So if I get any big scratches, I'll take them back and hand sand them out so it's all flat, and then I'll bring it back over here and finish it off. So yeah, that's how I use it for making knives. I keep my knife finishes on there because I like to get them to a Scotch-Brite finish, especially for the carbon steel blades. If you can see that there, the dirty old bushcraft. What I might do is have a dramatic pause and put some photos in there so you can see the finishes a bit better than that. I like to get a Scotch-Brite finish because they get a hiding, they get a thrashing. A lot of my knives will go into the kitchen, be left in the sink, have crap and corruption all over them, they'll start to rust. If they're a mirror finish, and I have done mirror finishes before, then I've got to bring that finish back up. So rather than bring it out here and repolish a knife, what I'll do is do it to a Scotch-Brite finish. There's always a bit of green Scotch-Brite in the kitchen, and you can just give it a good scrubbing up and get it back to exactly what it is, especially knives like that, which I'll use in the bush or out when I'm camping. And I don't really take as much care as I probably should. And I can just bring the edge right back up again. So yeah, that's that. What else have I got to say? Yeah, so in conclusion, I think it's a really good investment. It's a good tool. It does quite a lot. This here too, which I forgot to mention, this can move. If you undo a couple of bolts here, you can move that up and down, all that type of thing. You can also look, if you can see that properly, it's not particularly heavy. Right here at the roof. I put it on a stand. It's pretty solid. It's just a tripod type thing. It doesn't really move. You can see over here, you've got a surface grinding sanding disc. To be honest, I've never used it. I probably should. One thing I find with that is I tend to get mixed up in here when I'm trying to grind. I'm trying to flatten that out due to the fact, probably because I'm left-handed, I don't know, it just gets a bit cumbersome. I should really get into trying to use it because it would be a good thing. But I never have. Mostly in industry, those are just gone, never even there. So yeah, that's that. The Abbott and Ashby 200mm 8-inch grinder. So I would buy it. I like it. I always have. And it's a good little tool to have just for doing little things that are too big for you, or too small, sorry, for your 2x72. So having said that, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, and really enjoy the rest of your day. Doesn't cover the buffing wheels.